morning. Finhaven is in Vancouver, Canada. We are building a full-stack capital market infrastructure based on hybrid blockchain technology. And this capital market infrastructure is for digital securities, so-called security tokens. So I just said Vancouver, Canada, and security tokens. Now, what are security tokens? Security tokens is basically an investment contract. It can be stocks, it can be bonds, it can be an investment fund unit, limited partnership unit, and utility tokens that can be deemed as a security. So in North America, that's why I said Vancouver, Canada, in North America, so United States and Canada, and some parts of Europe, in European countries, we use Howey test to see if a certain thing is a security or a utility, it's an investment contract. So that is, you invest your money in a common enterprise with an expectation of a profit, and that profit mainly comes from a promoter or a management. Okay? So with these four prongs, when you satisfy these four prongs, it becomes an investment contract. So a lot of tokens that you see in the market, they don't have a platform yet, but they sold their tokens. And investors, not just the buyers, the investors bought those tokens with the expectation of profit, and the management have to build those platforms that they promised to deliver. But the tokens are already in the secondary market. So that's why SEC, Securities Commissions of Canada, they come to the market, they are securities. They can be deemed as securities. In our case, we deal with stocks, bonds, and these kind of tokens that can be deemed as securities. So those are the financial instruments that I'm going to talk about today. Current capital market system is built upon one assumption, that is paper securities. Of course, companies with a long history, the depositories, they have those printed shares in their vault, and we have all these databases between intermediaries, and we settle them. However, if they're relatively new companies, they probably don't have a printed shares. But because we deal with the securities based on the assumption that they are paper securities, now we have different intermediaries and different databases to deal with. And they cause many errors when we deal with them. And as you know, when we have a transaction for the clearance and settlement, it takes 2 days, 3 days. Now, many countries already, they picked up this regulation based on digital securities. So what's the cause of innovation? We talk about security tokens, blockchain. Then is blockchain the cause of innovation, or digital securities are a cause of innovation? So in fact, the cause of innovation is not really blockchain. It's about digital securities or security tokens. What are the advantages of blockchains? We talk about real-time clearance and settlement, reduce the transaction cost, and easy access to global markets, as we see with the crypto exchanges. And immutability, transparency, those elements we talk about, but is that really true? Public blockchains, it has lots of limitations, in fact. First of all, you probably heard about hard fork, soft fork, shift. What if you put your securities in public chains, and if there's a hard fork? Basically, we cannot control the security tokens in public chain. In other words, we live in this capital markets that's centrally supervised and controlled. But public chains are decentralized. So with many decentralized blockchain ideas, you discuss with the regulators who has this centralized concept, immediately there's all kinds of conflicts. Now, what about interoperability? Probably you heard about the smart contracts and standardizing smart contracts so that we can have interoperability. Smart contract is about automation, and blockchain has two layers. One is automation. The second is consensus mechanism. Automation part, in fact, with the smart contracts, is very, very low-level automation. And you probably hear KYC AML and transfer restriction in security tokens a lot. But in capital markets, that's a tip of iceberg in terms of regulation, isn't it? So, can smart contract really automate this process? That's a big question. And I say no. It's not at that level. It's a very low level of automation. If we cannot put those smart contracts, securities, on public chains, what's the point of discussing interoperability? So crypto exchanges trading utility tokens, if they're smart contracts, but they're a centralized database, a centralized trading system, in fact, it's a dummy token. It's nothing else than just a number. So we have to think about what is the consensus mechanism for capital markets. And another issue, what about capacity? We have a substantially low capacity with public chain, and at the same time, transaction cost goes up. So would you use that system? Probably not. So we have going to discussion of a private chain. So what about proof of authority? In other words, broker-dealers or investment firms, they become the nodes in private chain, and then you create a consensus mechanism there. Issue, between the nodes, there can be potentially a collusion. Another issue, you are not part of this transaction, so you participate as a node. As a broker-dealer or investment firms, I already pay a lot of money to manage my back office and middle office. Why would I pay for the transactions that I'm not involved with? That's another issue. So in fact, proof of authority in capital markets, in private chain, is not really a real option. So we have to think about what kind of technologies we have to use to solve capital markets. So we don't develop this blockchain technology for technology's sake, but we develop this technology, or we use this technology to serve capital markets. So these are the elements that we probably want. Real-time clearance and settlement so that we can get rid of counterparty risk. We want to have less custodian risk. We want to have less transaction costs, higher capacity. So what is the solution then? So our solution is basically, instead of create a real-time clearance and settlement, a layered innovation in the legacy system, we build a closed new system and prove how we can really manage these capital market issues based on digital securities, security tokens. And to that new system, we build pipeline from the legacy system so that the legacy system players can follow through the pipeline to the new system. Then how is the new system? It's basically a cryptographic ledger. So it has very high automation using software agents. Smart contract, once you build them, you cannot amend them. So you issue your securities, you got to call them back and amend and distribute again. But with the software agents, we don't have to do them. And the speed of automation is extremely high. In fact, the capacity gets much better than the current capital market system. And we deploy this market routes to our public chain, so the public chain that we are building. And this is not the end of the story. The blockchain technology will evolve. So you probably remember dot-com boom, 1999. And early 2000, we had this market hype and crashing towards the end of the year 2000, a lot of dot-com companies were already gone. And you're witnessing almost the same phenomenon in blockchain industry. But this industry got already a lot of money, and the money is going to be spent on building new blockchain technology to serve the capital markets. And blockchain technology in itself, since it's a distributed ledger, it's a ledger technology, it perfectly fits to capital markets. So it's going to keep innovating these capital markets. Now, the question is, what kind of direction, what kind of methodology we're going to use to utilize this blockchain technology to truly serve capital markets? So I talked about many limitations of public chains. And I also said blockchain technology has lots of limitations to serve the capital markets. However, we can still use part of blockchain technology, and we continue to improve blockchain technology, including identity on blockchain, and it's going to serve the capital markets pretty well in a completely different way for the coming 3 to 5 years. And at Finhaven, we're building security exchanges based on our full stack capital market infrastructure. And we have Finhaven.com for trading part and Finhaven.club as a liquidity solution, as a decentralized investor network. Thank you.